Why aren't the evangelicals breaking down our doors for word and sacrament if we have such a good deal? Hi, my name is Ted Rosenblatt, and I'm here with my father, Dr. Rod Rosenblatt. I know you like to be sort of an emissary to evangelicals and broadly, and other churches outside our Lutheran Church. And the question is something that was posed to us from one of our favorite friends, and the question is a good one. Why aren't the doors being stormed if we have this message that is Christ crucified and risen for our sins? That you'd think that would be.
I think the answers to that are broad. I'm not an expert in a lot of them. A lot of them, I think, have to do with psychiatry and sociology, and I'm a student there, not any kind of an authority. But you can list as one of them that grace is offensive to sons of daughters and sons of Adam and daughters of Eve. Grace itself will choose anything but that. We're inclined to it. We like it. Being delivered freely by somebody else and his work is not the thing that we desire, just the opposite. So it's built in some ways, in a sinful world. The ones that I think do count, but on which I'm not an authority, have to do with, for instance, we're in a German Lutheran church. It's hard for the world to believe Germans about anything if they've twice tried to conquer the world and enslave it. That's always there in the background.
Well, on that note, I think we might be surprised, as I've listened to some of the conversations coming out of the present zeitgeist, that there's a blessing in our human memories being relatively short. I think that is fading. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Which in a certain sense, if that's a point of concern, I think that might open some doors for us.
I think so.
In terms of that being a roadblock.
Mm-hmm. The hangover is, until it's done, if it ever is, the hangover is it's kind of difficult for us to greet people.
Germans?
Yep. Yep. So
Germans don't make good greeters. Here we're gonna.
It's awkward for us. There was so much of turning Schmidt into Smith during World War I and World War II that we got kind of quiet. Germans, I say we, I'm partially German, but I come from a land that was occupied during World War II, so it isn't as if it's foreign to me. But the hangers of that can show themselves. It certainly doesn't have to do with the treasure of the gospel that we're offering. Nobody can compare to it. Nobody.
What about the idea that we tend to be fairly insular with our message? We are comfortable in our own sort of dome, our own sort of bubble, right?
Yeah, very much so.
And you don't get, the last time I saw, I don't remember the last time I even heard about Lutherans going door to door and bringing a message of hope.
Sure. But there are many of our parishes, and the average size of them is, 150 to 250. But there are many of our parishes that have gotten into internet advertising just within the last 10 years. There are many ways, given the technology we've gotten to today, that we could have been doing that for 20. Give you an illustration. Back in the day, our Old Testament professor at the St. Louis Seminary began to notice what he could do with radio. So he started broadcasting. I don't know if it was 4 blocks or half the city. Could have been off 4 D-cell batteries. I don't know. But he set up a tower there at the seminary and started broadcasting the gospel. We were totally new to that, and so was everybody else. And a young evangelist came to watch him do what he did. That young evangelist's name was Billy Graham.
So you don't know what the seeds are going to do that get planted with the word.
And we were at the front of radio technology ever since we played catch-up. But it shows that one of our guys saw what radio could do. And the same thing still is true of the internet. We've got a lot of marginal stuff. We don't have outstanding stuff. Well, in a very, very highly literate internet age, if you're not at the front of it, you're at the back of it. So,
and I think that's something that evangelicals have done very, very well.
Yes.
They've really used
Sure.
They've used technology to communicate.
Sure.
And that's really what it is. I don't want to get into the. I think I consider marketing a subset of communication,
Okay.
but primarily communicating
Yep.
at all is something that needs to be done effectively.
yeah.
You,
And there are things like interpersonal skills. I don't want to go into that because I'm no expert at it. But the art of having a conversation.
well, that's completely. Then you are back to the cultural discussion of
I just mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean,
There's an art to that.
that was the Norwegians were always so pleasant and happy.
Yeah.
It was such a stark difference with the
Yeah.
our side of the lineage.
Yeah. It can even get down to they're happy people and the other people aren't happy people. I mean, it can go really ground level.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that we have so much Danish that came from your side of the family.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. All right, we got to wrap this one. This is probably a longer, broader discussion, but I still think it's important to understand the trends and why they occur and so forth, and see some hope there, and hopefully direct our next steps and methodologies, and maybe improve our interpersonal skills. Whatever it takes. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll hope to see you next time. Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us on Talks with Dad Rod, part of the 1517 Podcast Network. This podcast and all 1517's content is made possible through financial support by listeners just like you. Please visit 1517.org for more, and please consider clicking on the donate button and making a recurring or one-time contribution to help us share this good news in a world which so desperately needs it.